Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
Film church.
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like a cult classic.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
So what else do you have? Oh, actually, I have another movie that I don't think I mentioned, but I'll wait.
Well, this is going to kind of connect to the Marx Brothers. And I don't know if this also falls into... I don't know if you've seen this movie, but I believe you've seen a film by this director, and I don't think you liked it. And
Okay.
it's Woody Allen. Because
Yes.
you didn't like Annie Hall, right? Or you were kind of...
I did not like it.
Uh-huh.
I think I just was underwhelmed, maybe. Let me see what I rated it. I mean, I only watched it for the first time like a couple of years ago,
Right.
I think. I mean, I rated it 3.5.
Okay. So I misremembered this. Maybe I was thinking of Duck Soup, but Annie Hall is not the film on my hate list, by the way.
Well, I figured, yeah.
I love Annie Hall. Yeah, okay. I bring it up because Woody Allen is pretty heavily influenced by the Marx Brothers. Groucho in particular, I think he even says that at the beginning of Annie Hall. He says, like, quotes Groucho Marx at the beginning of that movie.
Yeah.
Being a Woody Allen fan in 2023 is a sensitive area. It's a precarious thing.
Yeah.
There's a certain element of his style that's very Jewish, mid 20th century that I love.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of his films I enjoy. But he's made a film every year, basically for 40 or 50 years or something like that. 50 years, I think. So there are a lot of duds in there.
Yeah.
Those don't bother me. He went through periods where he's like, oh, he's making a few good movies, and then there's a down period, and then there's a couple more good ones, and then there's a kind of a down period. But the film that I hate in his filmography is actually his first credit as a director, which is a movie called What's Up, Tiger Lily. And the reason I hate it is it's basically he took a Japanese spy film called International Secret Police, Key of Keys, and dubbed it in English with a comedic script that is not actually, like, obviously, it's not a proper translation.
That's not a good idea.
I think the reason I hate it is that it's just like, I have seen most of his films. I know what he's capable of as a comedian, and I know, like, when he sucks, like when his jokes don't land or his stuff isn't funny. This is even worse than that. It's just frustrating to me because it's almost like, why would you lower yourself to make this crap when you are a funny comedian? You are a funny guy. You're a funny writer. And it's like this weird, because right after that, he starts making his signature comedies, and they're great.
Yeah.
And it's basically like the only Woody Allen film. I think hatred for it is more of like a, if you're like anal about your letterboxed lists and that sort of thing.
Yeah, then it's like, what is this?
Yeah, it's just, it's not like anything else he's done. Thank God. It's just like a very confusing low point for a guy who to me is a very funny comedian and a very good filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, the Woody Allen, like you said, he's controversial, and his filmography is just so dense that I'm like, Do I even need to get into this?
Well, and it's interesting because he repeats himself a lot too.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating is sometimes he repeats himself, and like both movies will be good. Like really, he did a movie in the '80s called Crimes and Misdemeanors, and then in the early 2000s he did a movie called Match Point. Now they're plenty different, but like the kind of like a core plot element is the same. To the point where if you're watching one and you know about the other, you're like, wait a minute, he did this already. But they're both really good. They're both well written.
Yeah.
They're both I'm not gonna say they're both funny because Match Point is not a comedy. But both well directed films, great cast in both films. So, I guess when someone is working that frequently, they do run out of ideas, or they're bound to repeat themselves. But yeah, diving into his filmography is a project, and
Yeah,
and if
exactly.
you're
Yeah.
not like tuned in to his style of comedy, if it's not for you,
I mean, it might be for me. I don't know, but it's like I got other projects.
Yeah.
You know.
he's also directed a number of great dramas. So
Yeah.
if his comedy doesn't work for you,
I'll probably attempt to watch more of his films at some point, but I'm in no rush.
if you I would recommend The Purple Rose of Cairo.
I have heard of that.
It is set in the Depression. It's about a woman who goes to the movies every day, and she keeps seeing this movie called The Purple Rose of Cairo. And one day, one of the characters in the film, the main character, looks directly at the screen and says, I've got to, you come here. He starts talking to her, and he leaves the movie. And he's like, I see you every day, and I now I can't stop looking at you. Like, and it's a romance between her and the character who walked out of the movie. Woody
interesting.
Allen is not in it. If his appearance or his voice bothers you, which some people, I know, some people just can't watch his movies if he's in it.
Yeah.
But it's a very sweet, and it's clever, and it's about movies.
Yeah.
So if you ever have an opportunity,
Start with that one.
that would be my recommendation of where to go next.
Cool. Okay. How many more films do you have on your list?
A few, but like two of them are really like the only ones that I maybe actually need to talk about.
Two?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's well, I got one more.
Okay.
and then you do your two. So I don't think I talked I don't think I talked about this yet. It's a Clint Eastwood film.
Okay. Directed or
Yeah.
okay.
Directed. $1 Million Baby.
Oh, okay.
Terrible movie. Now I came out to this movie very late.
Yeah.
And I mean it won 4 Oscars.
Yes, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, and Supporting Actor for Morgan Freeman.
It's a Best Picture winner. What? What? This movie is terrible. It's so bad. Did not age well at all. The representation of all of the characters are awful. And it's got great actors in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hilary Swank is an amazing actress. Clint Eastwood is a badass. Morgan Freeman. Jay Baruchel, is that how you say his name?
Yeah. I forgot he was. He's really good in that too.
Anthony Mackie is in it. They're all like caricatures of like some idea that Clint Eastwood has of what people are like. um, and it's weird because I remember when this movie came out. It came out in 2004.
Yeah.
I was heavily into listening to the Christian radio channels.
Okay.
And gosh, that was probably around the same time The Passion of the Christ came out too.
Yeah, I think it was 2004.
Yeah, Mel Gibson was also heavily featured on those Christian radio channels.
Gotcha.
Being interviewed by Dr. Dobson and people like that. But there was a huge campaign against this movie from the Christian community.
Yes.
So I'm surprised that by the time I got to I only watched this like a couple of years ago. I'm surprised by the time I got to it that I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because simply for the fact that like usually I'm going to like a movie that,
Well, and your reasons for disliking it are not the same.
No, they're not. They're not. Because the reason the Christian community was heavily against this film was because it involved
So youth
letting letting someone who with a disability die.
Right.
And but yeah, that's not the reason I didn't like the movie. I mean, I don't even remember what I thought about that part of the movie.
What don't you love it when you're like, everybody hates this, but they hate it for the wrong reason?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just terribly made. It's just terribly made, and then like the representation of like Margot Martindale plays her mom, and she's like on welfare, and she's just like this sleaze bag that just like she's on welfare because she's taking advantage of the system.
Right.
It's like, okay, not everybody on welfare is like that. There's a lot of people on welfare that need to be on welfare because they're fucking poor.
Right.
And so that part is super cringy. Margot Martindale is amazing. But but then also at the end of the movie when she fights like a the person who injures her is like this she's like a Mexican fighter or something. And she was like a prostitute. She's like from the streets. And then she like just she does like a illegal like like out of the round like punch or something that injures her or something, and it's like she's like one of the few like people of color in the movie, and it's like, oh yeah, they're like people of color, they just they're gonna stab you in the back and do whatever they gotta do.
So I think a lot of the points you're bringing up are interesting because the guy who wrote the screenplay to $1 Million Baby is Paul Haggis, who wrote and directed the film Crash, not the good Crash, but 2004, 2005 Crash.
Okay.
Which is also a film where every character is a stereotype, especially if they're a person of color. They are a racial stereotype if they're a person of color.
Yeah.
So there may be something there with his writing may be a big part of the problem with the film.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's got a lot of good actors in it. Even Anthony Mackie, but like Anthony Mackie he's
like a bully or something, right?
Yeah, and he's not. His character is just like it just feels fake. It just feels like so stale and like It's the same thing like we were talking about with Fireproof.
Yeah.
Where like, in what world does this character exist? This is not a real person.
Right.
Who are you trying to represent here? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So I was just cringing through the whole movie. And Jay Baruchel, I think he has like a super country accent, and it's so bad to me. I mean, you said he was great, but I was like, and again, I came at this movie a few years ago.
Yeah.
This came out in 2004, and to me, it just did not age well
Uh-huh.
at all. And this is a Best Picture winner.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just so disconnected from reality. It's kind of preaching at you, to me. Like it's just like, no. So
I can't say I have a strong defense of the film. I remember liking it.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite Clint Eastwood film, but my memory of it is, I thought it was good, but my kind of like how we were saying at the beginning, hating a film is different from not liking a film, right?
Exactly.
And in the same sense, I think liking a film and loving a film are very different, because the films you love are movies that you think about. You want to keep rewatching them. A film you like is a movie that you maybe see once or twice, and you're like, yeah, I enjoyed that. And then you don't think about it anymore. And that's maybe where $1 Million Baby sits on the spectrum for me. It was a movie that I remember liking, but I haven't put much thought to it since. Again, I saw it in theaters when it came out, and I've probably seen it twice since then. I mean, that's 20 years, but the last time I watched it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Wow, 20 years. That's crazy. A lot has changed.
Yes.
For one thing, Anthony Mackie is now Captain America.
He is now Captain America. An interesting factoid about the Oscars, the year of $1 Million Baby. And because Clint Eastwood has twice won Best Picture and Best Director. He won for Unforgiven.
Yeah.
And he won for $1 Million Baby. Those are also the only two films where he ever got acting nominations. He got Best Actor nominations for both, but he didn't win Best Actor.
Huh.
And in both those years, Best Actor went to somebody playing a blind person. The year of Unforgiven.
That had to been Ray.
The year of $1 Million Baby.
No. $1 Million Baby had to been
It was Ray.
What year was Unforgiven? Let me see if I can guess.
92, which is Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman.
I would not have thought of that.
And I think both movies also here's the other weird thing, because I was like, there's more to it. So in both,
these weird facts.
In both years,
you're like a mathematician of film.
In both years, the Clint Eastwood movie won Best Supporting Actor. Gene Hackman won it for Unforgiven, and Morgan Freeman won it for $1 Million Baby, right? But in both years, the Best Actor winner was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor for a different movie. Jamie Foxx was nominated for Supporting Actor for Collateral that year as well. And Al Pacino was nominated for Supporting Actor for Glengarry Glen Ross. That, to me, is just the weirdest thing. That's like the weirdest set of circumstances that could happen twice.
That is proof that there is film gods out there.
And in both cases, the Clint Eastwood movie that won Best Picture did not win for screenplay. So Paul Haggis's screenplay did not get him an Oscar.
But both were nominated.
But they were both nominated.
That is crazy.
Weird,
We're living in the Twilight Zone.
weird, wild stuff.
Yeah, this movie is so bad. I have it on DVD. I can't remember. I think I got it in like either a $5 bin, or it might have been like an estate sale, or it was something. It was something where I just got a bunch of movies,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally watched it a few years ago, and my Letterboxd review was yikes, half a star. Yeah, but it also might be one of those good bad movies. You know, I could watch this and laugh at it. Like for one thing, it's got really great actors in it that are giving terrible performances that is funny to me,
Yeah.
just to like laugh at that. But anyway, cuz Anthony Mackie like plays this small role that's like, and now he's like Captain America,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for me on $1 Million Baby. We can put that baby to bed.
So I do have two more, but I could cut one of them if you're like, let's just do one more. Or
we can do two more. That's fine. We can turn this into 3 episodes.
Oh God. Okay.
Give our priest a little more time.
Yeah, sure.
He comes back from the dead and he's like, "What is all of this sacrilege?"
Maybe I wonder if Lewis likes this next movie. Okay, so the next one is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner from 1967.
Really?
Yeah, I hate this movie because
this has been on my list for a while. I have not seen it.
Have you seen In the Heat of the Night?
I have seen In the Heat of the Night.
I was going to say, if you're going to watch a movie from 1967 starring Sidney Poitier that's about racism in America, you just rewatch In the Heat of the Night. But go ahead and see Guess Who's Coming to Dinner if you want. I think it just kind of boils down to the film feeling like a movie by, about, and for older white liberals patting themselves on the back for
all the progress they've made
for not being racist. The premise is that the daughter of a white woman, she's got these. I don't even remember what the parents do, but there's Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, who were real life partners, and it was Tracy's last film, which I think is one of the reasons why its legacy has kind of stayed around, because it was his last movie. And she's engaged to Sidney Poitier. And like, I know that back in the late 60s, a lot of black audiences were like upset with the way Hollywood used Sidney Poitier, because he always had to play these perfect characters. Because even in like In the Heat of the Night, which is the better film, that movie kind of implies that like he's a well-respected detective where he comes from. He ends up in a place where he's not, but but the racist white people in that movie are sort of forced to work with him. And in this one, it's like Poitier's character is designed to be unhateable, so that the only reason a person would object to this, if someone objects to this marriage, the only reason has to be because he's black. He's like this perfect doctor character. Maybe he's like a Rhodes Scholar. I don't remember the details, but the movie is setting up this conundrum where if you don't accept this, then you are a racist. And it's kind of again, like lecturing an audience where, you know, you might think you're progressive, but actually, we are testing your limits, you old white people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the gist of it. It's very, there's a period in the 60s where movies still feel like they're being made in the 50s, like stylistically. And I think that this kind of falls into that. And the release year of this is also significant because 67 is like the start of New Hollywood. So it's the year of The Graduate, it's the year of Bonnie and Clyde, it's the
Yeah.
year of In the Heat of the Night. And so it's a movie that on arrival feels like it's already a few years behind.
Yeah.
But it's held in this, you know, sort of high esteem. But I think that like it ultimately is kind of like a self-congratulatory film for um, like older white liberals of like a certain stripe.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of like it gives or gave older white people the freedom to be still racist if a black person was not well off.
Right.
Um, I mean, I've heard white people in recent years say things like, "Yeah, you can date a black person as long as they've got a good job." You know?
Or well spoken.
Yeah.
That's an
And it's
expression
like,
I,
oh,
I
okay, so like,
hate hearing.
if it was a white person without a good job, you'd be fine with
Right.
it. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
So yeah, I mean, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, to me, it's one of those movies that you're gonna obviously find it on plenty of greatest film lists. Probably more American centric lists though. Like
Yeah.
uh what's it? AFI? Is that the one? American, yeah, AFI.
American Film Institute, yeah.
There's no way that it's on the Sight and Sound. Like this is a movie that I don't think would be is as regarded outside of the US as it is here.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of its like success is due to Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy being in it, it being their last film together, and it being Spencer Tracy's final film. So I think like 20, 30 years from now, you're gonna stop seeing it showing up on lists because its relevancy is just. I mean, to me, it was irrelevant probably the year it came
When
out,
it came out, yeah.
but it doesn't have that Hollywood legacy stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the lesser of the two uh, Poitiers interracial films of 1967. He gets to slap a racist guy in Heat of the Night.
In the heat of the night, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a couple years since I watched that, but yeah, and it still was like not as progressive as I think I wanted it to be when I saw it
Yeah,
in the heat of the night,
in the
but
Heat of the Night is a film that is sort of like halfway there.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but the stuff that's like over the right half is pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's also going back to like Oscar trivia. It's astounding to me that Sidney Poitier wasn't nominated that year at all
For either one.
for either one. The white guys in both films were nominated, and Rod Steiger, the police, the white police officer in the Heat of the Night, won Best Actor that year. But no nomination for Poitier, even though I think he was the highest box office star of that year. He might have had another movie that year, actually.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Is Poitier good in it? I can't remember. I'm sure he is. He's always good. I don't like Spencer Tracy. So maybe I also like have some bias against him as an actor.
Yeah. I gotta look him up. I don't even know if I know who that is.
You probably recognize his face. You probably recognize his face even if you've never seen one of his movies, because you've probably seen montages that at the very least have had him crop up in there. Yeah, he had another movie in '67, To Sir with Love.
Spencer Tracy.
Sidney Poitier. He had
Oh.
3 films in '67: To Sir with Love, In the Heat of the Night, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. He was the highest grossing actor that year.
Well, I'm sure being in 3 movies helped, but
Yeah, I mean,
he's also a good actor.
but they're 3 movies that people went to go see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's all I have to say about In the Heat of the Night.
So what's your last one?
So my last one might be the movie that I actually really do hate the most.
Perfect.
And we're coming back up a little bit. We're going to 1999, and the movie is The Boondock Saints.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like a cult classic.
Yeah, and it fucking sucks.
You don't like Willem Dafoe?
I love Willem Dafoe. I hesitate to say that he's the best thing in that movie. I think his character is so horribly written that I guess he's doing the best he can.
With the material.
Yeah.
I can't believe this movie is this old.
And I don't feel bad talking shit about the Boondock Saints because I don't think the director is getting work. But
I mean, there's a sequel. Did the director not direct
no,
the sequel?
he did. I think that's the only other film he's made. There's a documentary about the making of this film called Overnight, which is a pretty good watch. But the Boondock Saints in the 90s, everybody in Hollywood, the studios were all trying to find the next Tarantino. That was a big thing.
Well, this isn't the 90s yet.
What? The Boondock Saints?
The Boondock Saints.
It's 99.
Oh, I thought you said 89. I was like, okay, that makes more sense. I was like, I can't believe this movie is this old.
No, 1999.
90. That makes way more sense. Okay.
Everyone, the studios were all looking for that next Tarantino, and people were trying to capitalize on Tarantino-esque stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that the writer-director of this film was attempting to do that, but I believe that because basically the script got bought by Harvey Weinstein and was fast-tracked into production. And the writer-director of the film was a bartender. How he got a script into Weinstein's hands, I don't know. But Harvey Weinstein then bought the bar that he worked at. And I don't know if it was so that he could become the owner. Troy Duffy, the director, it's very weird. But he was basically treated like this golden boy, the next big thing. Whatever Weinstein saw in the script, I do think was kind of this is the next. I found Kevin Smith. I found Tarantino. Now I found this guy.
Yeah.
And my voice is going.
Boondock Saints 3 in pre-production.
How long has it been in pre-production?
I don't know.
10 years.
Yeah, he's only directed those 2 movies. Boondock Saints 1999, Boondock Saints 2 2009. He missed number 3 2019. He missed his chance. Of course, that was, I guess, if Weinstein hadn't gone to prison, maybe he would have gotten it made.
No, Weinstein dropped him.
Oh.
Mid-production.
Oh, yeah. Of this movie?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Miramax won the bidding war.
Weinstein was like, I fucked up.
I'm not entirely I don't remember entirely what happened, but basically he was given like the keys to the kingdom. Like, you're the new golden boy, and he basically pissed everybody off in the process. And so all of the executives and producers who were behind the film were like, we need to abandon this ship. So like another studio comes in and helps, actually gets the film financed, much lower budget than what it was originally supposed to have. Um, and I think it was like released in one theater for like only a couple of days and then just dropped. So it was like intentionally buried by the distributors. And a lot of times when that happens, you find like diamonds in the rough, right? Like Idiocracy
Right.
or something like that. I fucking hate this movie. Like, the script is annoying to me. It's very edgelordy. Like, the Rocco character is just one of the it I don't like using this critique, but it really does feel like something written by a 14-year-old boy. And like the scene in Pulp Fiction where Vince shoots Marvin in the face.
Yeah.
You've seen the Boondock Saints, right?
I mean, yeah, it's been.
Okay.
I mean,
Do
it's
you
been.
remember the
I mean,
part?
I probably watched it in like the mid
Do you
2000s
remember the
before the
part where
second.
a character accidentally shoots a cat?
Honestly, no.
Well, there's a moment in this film which I believe is the "I shot Marvin in the face" moment, where a character, like, there's a cat in the background and the characters are talking. I think it's the Rocco character, and he like slams his hand down and it causes the gun to fire, and just like fur and blood splatter on the wall, and it just it's so dumb. It's
Yeah.
so stupid. The characters are horribly written. I also think the film is like badly shot. Like, the editing and the way it's shot is very, very amateurish and not befitting of a $15 million budget for Miramax.
$15 million.
That was the original budget. It wasn't actually made for that much.
Okay.
That was the original budget, and then Miramax dropped it, and somebody else came in, and I don't know how much money they actually made it for. $6 million is the finished budget.
That makes more sense.
God, even Billy Connolly's in this. He's great. His character is like their father, and he's like chained up because he's so dangerous.
It's been a long time since I watched this movie. I remember it just being like, I didn't hate it or anything, but it was just like, it was one of those like, this is a cult classic, and then you watch it and it's like, I guess I get why you thought this was a cult classic. And maybe I would think it was a cult classic if I had seen it when I was 9 years old.
It is a really good movie when you are a teenage boy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's also a movie that I think gets worse as you get older. When you distance yourself from your teenage boyhood and you realize that it wasn't just a movie made for teenage boys. It was a movie that feels like it was made by teenage boys.
Yeah, it's very of that I don't know, that indie amateur film late 90s early 2000s VHS mini DV.
Right. You had to have guys in suits with guns. That was the cool factor, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I honestly I like I mean I'd have to rewatch this to kind of give my full opinion on it,
Yeah.
but I mean I like amateur movies.
That
Yes. I made my first movie in 2002, like all like I was just talking with Lewis in our top 10 favorite movies of all time episodes of Film Church.
Yeah.
Like there's a movie that I go back to frequently
Mhm.
called The Formula.
Yeah.
And it's like a Star Wars fan film.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just about these guys that work in a comic book store. But there's heart in it, you know. It's like I think the thing is like it seems like Hollywood or you know, new Hollywood is trying to get away from like auteur cinema.
Yeah.
But like when a film is made by a piece of shit person, and I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, that Troy Duffy is a piece of shit. I have no idea who this person is.
Right.
You know, but we all know Harvey Weinstein is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And if Harvey Weinstein is like, oh, this guy is the guy, you know, the guy might be a piece of shit. He's only made 2 movies, you know. There might be a reason for that. Like, he probably didn't treat anybody well. I don't know. I don't know the guy. Don't go attacking him just because I said that. But, like, I think my point is films are auteur pieces of work sometimes. Sometimes they're not. You know, I don't think The Godfather is an auteur piece of work. It's a studio made film that is a miracle that it is so good.
Yeah.
You know, but some films are auteur pieces of work, and when an auteur is a piece of shit, you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like this movie. When I first this movie first crossed my path when I was in probably like a high school freshman or something like that. And one of the things that I had a problem with when I was younger, when I was that age, is there were a lot of times where I liked a movie that I found myself being the only one who liked it, and so I hid that. And I would hide that I liked it. But the opposite would also happen, where I didn't like a movie, but everyone else loved it. And so if I needed to, I would sort of, I wasn't like going around brandishing my love of the Boondock Saints, but like I would rewatch it to try and figure out why I didn't like it when all my friends did, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that, again, like you say, we don't want to call anybody a piece of shit. But
Even though I already did.
When I saw the documentary Overnight, I felt like, I was like, okay, I think I understand why I don't like this movie. I think that this stuff that happened behind the scenes actually comes through in the movie. It's like something that's tangible in there that I can feel.
Yeah.
And it just soured me on the movie completely. If I have to say one nice thing about the Boondock Saints, it does pertain to Willem Dafoe. And it's the scene where maybe he does this a couple of times, but his character is like this FBI agent who has an uncanny ability to look at a scene and figure out exactly what happened. Like he spots every little detail, and they do a thing where you don't see the shootout happen, but you see Willem Dafoe arrive on the scene. And then as he's describing what happened based on what he sees, he is suddenly put into like a recreation of the actual shootout or whatever. So like they show the action scene, but Willem Dafoe is there, and he's pretending he has guns, and he's like, they were shooting, like, you know. And I would say, conceptually, I'm like, okay, there's something clever in that. Maybe I don't love the execution. Maybe I don't love the performance because of the way the character is written. But there's a clever idea there.
Yeah.
That's all. That's my nice thing about it.
It just wasn't fully cooked. You know.
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, this is a movie that I will probably go back to. I'm curious.
I would totally pair it with Overnight. You can probably find Overnight online pretty easily.
Yeah.
But like you say, this is a cult classic. This is a movie that was in theaters for 4 days. So how did this become a hit? Because
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
DVD, man, at the time, DVD was the late 90s and the early 2000s saw a lot of movies become hits on DVD. It's kind of the same phenomenon now where there'll be some just schlocky action film from a few years ago, and it goes up on Netflix, and Netflix uses a picture of Bruce Willis or Mel Gibson or whatever for the little thumbnail, and people go, oh, I love Bruce Willis, I love Mel Gibson. They watch it, and suddenly some like shitty movie from like 10 years ago that nobody saw at the theaters is in Netflix's top 10 because everyone is watching it.
Yeah.
And suddenly the movie has a new life. I'm not congratulating Netflix on that. That's not them. But
Good job, guys.
But the phenomenon that happened at the video store does occasionally still happen in the streaming world. Like, occasionally. But
yeah.
home video was basically the reason this movie has a sequel is because it made all its money on DVD.
Yeah, that's crazy. A movie that was in the cinemas for 4 days got a sequel. Only 10 years later.
That was also a pretty big time, I think, of like the rise of fan culture online, like getting a lot of like momentum. Where there was enough online fan base of the first movie to generate interest where like the director could reasonably go around and find financing for a sequel.
Well, I mean, it also, I'm sure, helped Norman Reedus's career a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like the Boondock Saints and the Boondock Saints 2 both came out before The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure his fan base was maybe a big reason that his character stuck around on The Walking Dead too.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a character that was from the comic book.
No. And he basically like became like the co-lead of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he's been in the whole thing. 174 episodes. It's crazy.
Is he getting his own series?
I would think so.
He is?
I mean, they're talking about doing all these spin-offs. Like, I would think they would do his own. He's also in Blade 2, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. I have not watched any piece of Walking Dead media since like season 3 of the first show.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard show to watch. I keep trying to get through it, but I mean, that show is a show that I'll watch a few episodes and be like, God, am I gonna keep going? And then I'll wait a couple of years and try to keep going, and then I eventually it's been probably 3 or 4 years since I've tried again.
I mean, I guess the season 3 was 2013, so I have not watched the show in 10 years. I stopped after season 3. I don't even know if I finished season 3. You know what's from my experience from watching the first 3 seasons of that show is a very rare phenomenon. Of those 3 seasons, I still think the best episode is the pilot. And usually pilots for me are like, if I watch a whole show and then I go back and watch the pilot, I'm like, oh, like, you know, you get like enough things change where when you go back to the pilot, you're like, how did they get from this to that?
Yeah.
Pilots usually don't have like rewatchability in my mind. There are exceptions to that, but I think a lot of times like the show, once the show finds its footing, you get used to that, and that becomes like the bulk of the show.
Yeah.
The pilot of The Walking Dead is like a great horror film, and it was directed by Frank Darabont.
Yeah.
Who's a good
Mhm.
filmmaker. So that's just interesting to me. I guess I can't speak for the whole series because I stopped watching it, but I still I'll watch that pilot again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, have you seen Lost?
No,
That's a good pilot.
I have.
It's like a 2-hour
I
pilot though.
I I I don't know if I've seen the pilot. I think I've seen like the opening scene, the
Yeah.
plane crash, like
Yeah.
right after the plane crash. I think that's all I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, that's how the show opens.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's a good pilot.
my dad. I
Um,
remember my dad was excited about that show,
mhm.
and he watched the pilot because he thought it was going to be like a Lord of the Flies. And then, the
Yeah.
moment it became clear that this is like a science fiction show, my dad was like, "Yeah, I'm not watching this."
Yeah. All right. Well, we've talked a lot of trash.
Yeah,
We've crapped on a lot of movies. Let me just read you the lowest rated movies on IMDb real quick. We got Disaster Movie 2008,
never saw it. Not going to.
Manos, The Hand of Fate, 1966,
I've
Birdemic.
I've never seen Menos: The Hands of Fate, but I hear it's a fun movie to watch.
Okay, yeah. Lowest rated one. Birdemic, Shock and Terror, 2010.
Could not finish.
Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2.
Did not know they made a sequel.
Did you saw the first one?
I've never seen the first one.
I think I've seen both.
I am aware of the first one.
Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2. That came out in 2004.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure I've seen both, but that was because of Blockbuster.
Yeah, I've never seen even the first one.
That would be a great movie to watch.
Baby.
To just, huh? Yeah. Just, I mean, 2004, like a movie that's like about spy babies and their mouths are CGI'd with animation from 2004. That doesn't sound amazing to you?
I might not be drinking the right substance right now to appreciate that. Even just as a thought experiment.
It's about babies who the babies. Wait, did you say you've seen the first one?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
The babies have baby speak, right? Like in real life, they have baby, like they're like goo goo gaga, but they're speaking their own language.
Yeah, okay.
And they're super intelligent beings.
Are
they basically run the world.
Aliens or do people?
No, they're like spy babies.
So but is it all babies are like that, or is this a select group?
No, it's like all babies are like that.
So the premise is humans actually get stupider as we get older.
Yes.
Because we lose baby speak, we become less intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
I mean, that's what I remember. I have not watched these movies since they came out.
Gotcha.
Number 5 is The Hottie and the Naughty.
Never seen
from
that.
2008. I don't even know what that is.
It's got Paris Hilton in it, I think.
Oh, okay. Number 6, lowest rated movie on IMDb is Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas from 2014.
I have not seen that, but I do want to see it.
Just to laugh?
Yes.
Or cringe?
Both. A little bit.
That's the thing, is sometimes bad movies are fun, and sometimes they're just they're just a drag.
You're embarrassed that you're watching it, even
yeah.
even though you know you're watching it like to laugh at it,
Yeah.
but you're still like, I hope nobody sees me doing this.
Number 7, House of the Dead. Who made this movie?
Yuva Bowl, I think, right?
How do you know this? Like, who are you? Number 8,
Here's the
Son
thing.
of the Mask.
Here's the thing. If I haven't seen a movie, there's a good chance I've read a lot about it, or I've looked at enough lists or Wikipedia articles to like be very, very, very casually aware of certain things.
Yeah. But it's one thing to be casually aware. It's another thing to remember a director's name.
Well,
Of
Yuva Bowl one is easy to remember for me because for a long time I didn't know how to pronounce his name because he's German, so it's spelled UWE, but it's pronounced Yuva. He has also like only directed movies that have like horribly low ratings, and I think he like did like had like a boxing match with like film critics or something like that.
Now I'm intrigued. Now we've got to do like a whole like
Yes,
Film Church Radio series where we watch these movies.
It was
and review them.
called Raging Bull because his last name is Boll, where he did boxing
interesting.
matches with various critics.
Yeah. Okay, number 8 is Son of the Mask,
I've not seen it.
which
But
I'm assuming does not have Jim Carrey in it.
No, I think it's got Jamie Kennedy.
Yes. And then number 9, Epic Movie from 2007.
I never saw any of those like Freeberg and Seltzer parody movies.
Yeah. Wait, did you see Scary Movies?
Yeah. Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2 are great.
I think I saw like Vampires Suck. Which was like the Twilight parody.
Yeah.
And then number 10 is Radhi, I guess is how you say it.
What is it?
Radhe 2021 TV movie. This must be new to the list, apparently.
From 2021?
1.9.
It's a Hindi movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's IMDb. I mean, there's a huge list of lowest rated movies. I mean, there's a top or a low 100 lowest rated movies.
No, I was just looking at this Roddy film, and I saw the sentence saying that the lead performances were praised by critics and audiences, and so I was like, oh, so maybe it wasn't. But then I saw, it's one of the worst Indian films of 2021. So I guess I was gonna say that maybe the low ratings were like an astroturfing campaign because I saw that the performances were praised, but I guess the movie sucks. So.
Yeah. A couple of similarities if you look at the lowest rated films on Letterboxd are Epic Movie and Son of the Mask.
Okay.
Those are like the only two.
What are some of the others on there?
The others on here, the lowest 3 are Dragon Ball Evolution, 365 Days, and The Last Airbender. Which I get The Last Airbender. Have you seen the show Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yes, I have.
Did you see the movie?
I have not seen the film. I didn't grow up watching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm.
Only watched it for the first time as an adult during COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good, but I'll probably never watch it again. I would not say I was a fan of it. I like M. Night Shyamalan. I have no interest in watching the film. From what I understand, he might not have had much interest in making it, but that
He made it for his kids.
often a mistake, but not always. Um, uh, but Dragon Ball is another one where I feel like those low ratings are completely driven by the fans of the television shows.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're just a casual moviegoer, you might not know that this movie sucks because
Because it's not true to the show,
yeah.
or yeah. Oh, James Cameron Saving Christmas is also one of the lowest rated movies on Letterboxd.
Kirk Cameron.
And Cats. Actually, James Cameron Saving Christmas is directly below Cats. Cats is better.
Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas.
Yeah, what did I
You
say?
said James Cameron. However, I would like to see James.
You like to see James
Saving
Cameron Saving Christmas?
Yeah.
That would be who did it better? Who saved Christmas harder?
We'll never know unless James Cameron does it.
Yeah, we need you to save Christmas, Jim. Yeah, Home Alone 4,
Some of those movies don't count.
Mean Girls 2.
Like, who sees that?
People on oh wow, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is one of the lowest rated films on here. I was looking forward to that. That came out this year.
Yes, it did.
Dang. That was a good idea. Oh, actually somebody I know from Alamo Drafthouse rated it 5 stars. He said Randall Patty. He's got a YouTube show. And works at Alamo Drafthouse.
Well, you'll have
he's-
to you'll have to pick it for Film Church, and you and Lewis can decide
Yeah.
who's right, Randall or everyone else on Letterboxd.
Yeah. He said, makes no sense and hella fun. I really wanted to hate this movie, but I just can't. It's too ridiculous, and I love the gore. Best Winnie the Pooh movie I've ever seen. Nice.
Titanic 2. I see that.
Wow, there's a Titanic too?
Yeah, Jim Cameron was not involved.
I'm sure.
Now, Battlefield Earth is a famous bad movie that I love and enjoy watching.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You like that movie?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, John Travolta.
Yeah, it's a Scientology movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's based on a novel by L. Ron Hubbard, the creator of Scientology.
More religious propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see,
Like-
what's better, Battlefield Earth or Fireproof?
Oh, Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth is so like schlocky and has like very campy performances. And I think about like 80% of the movie is Dutch angles. It's just like there's like whole scenes where like every shot is a Dutch angle.
Nice.
It's very fun.
It's like Batman 1966 Dutch angles.
Yes, the villains are always in Dutch angles in that, right?
Yeah, there's just so much Dutch angle in that movie.
The director of Battlefield Earth, since I did so much Oscar trivia in this episode, the director of Battlefield Earth is an Oscar winner because he was one of the original production designers on Star Wars.
Oh,
The
wow.
original Star Wars.
You know who isn't an Oscar winner?
Kirk Cameron.
And George Lucas.
That's true. George Lucas is not an Oscar winner. He does have the Irving G. Thalberg Award from the Academy, which is given to producers. It's like an honorary award for producers, but it's not an Oscar statue. It's like just some guy's head. Irving Thalberg. It's a bust of Irving Thalberg's head.
Love that guy. I don't know who that is.
Taken too soon. He was an early Hollywood mogul.
Oh,
He
okay.
he died like he was like 35 or something when he died.
Oh, wow.
So George does have that.
Yeah, and also billions of dollars.
That's actually is one of my favorite gags is when they were when George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola and Steven Spielberg were presenting the Best Director Oscar, and they like both say something about like, of course we all have Oscars, and George is like, I don't know, I think sometimes being nominated is just as good, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, or something. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was Scorsese, Coppola, and Lucas, right? And they were.
Scorsese won that year.
Oh,
So
okay.
it
Yeah.
was everyone knew he was going to win. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
had his old friends come out to present it.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
That is pretty dope. What is Puppet Master doing down here? Puppet Master: The Legacy, 2003. Okay.
That's why.
Not the original.
I like those movies. I don't think I've seen this one.
Oh, The Grinch, the musical. Where do these movies come from? Dr. Seuss's The Grinch, the musical, 2020. This can't be like a
No, that was like
actual.
a TV special.
Yeah.
And I think it was like because they were doing a lot of those like live TV musicals. So it was probably one of those. I have not seen it.
Well, any more trash talking you want to do?
No. And I hate to think of what we did as trash talking.
Blasphemy, sacrilege.
You know, at the end of the day, we're just people who have watched movies, and some of them we didn't like. And I think that it's good to get that hater energy out of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So that you can appreciate things.
Because honestly, more often than not, I like most of the movies I watch.
Yeah.
And when I don't like a movie that I watch, I almost always forget about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, now you can never forget.
no, I never will. I'll never forget about the liver damage caused by the Big Mac. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. Cut that out.
You want me to cut that out for the 2 people listening still. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah. You know. That's all we just had a few things to say.
Yeah. Just a,
Three.
I'm very sorry that you have to edit.
Edit all of this.
Yes.
It's okay. I got a few weeks.
Okay.
To do. I'll do it in pieces. But thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for filling in and giving us a little buffer room to help Lewis out, and yeah, it's been fun. I think he might be jealous because we joked around earlier that Lewis is our priest, and since he's gone, we can kind of trash talk cinema a little bit. But I think he's got a few films that he can he can talk some trash about.
Oh yeah.
So we might have to do an episode with him at some point where he rips some films apart.
One of the films I was going to talk about, but I was like, I don't hate it enough. It's Psycho. From 1998, directed by Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the original. Yeah,
Vaughn and Anna Heche. Rest in peace, Anna Heche. But yeah, talk about a pointless movie. I don't hate it enough
to do a whole. Yeah,
but it was a potential. It was on my
my
first rough draft of my list.
Yeah. Nice.
I also just wanted
I wonder
wanted
if
to-
Lewis. I feel like I've asked him if he's seen it, but I can't remember.
it's kind of just a waste of time.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what's not a waste of time? Listening to this podcast.
That is yeah. I obviously don't participate every week, but I love listening to you guys. So I'm eager to get Lewis back on the show because I like hearing you guys have conversations, and we're planning a conversation together, hopefully in a few weeks, and I'm really looking forward to that when that happens.
Yeah, you can actually go ahead and tell people what that movie is
Oh.
that the three of us are going to talk about if you want.
Sure, because
Just
this
tease
is
it.
the end.
Yeah.
So Lewis and Brandon asked me to pick a film, and I kind of thought it would be a fun choice since Lewis is moving back to England to pick a film that would sort of be a cross pollination of American and British. So I selected Gosford Park from 2001, directed by Robert Altman, which is a mostly British film, except Robert Altman is the director, producer, and director of the film, and he's an American. So yeah, I knew that. I don't think I think you've never seen it before, right?
No.
Yeah, I think I knew that, and I want to say I think Lewis said he's seen it when it first came out. So I thought it would be that would be a fun movie to talk about with Lewis's move, and to get some Altman on the show.
Yeah.
Some Altman into your guys' lives, because that was actually the first Altman film that I ever saw. So it was my introduction to him as a filmmaker, and now he's one of my favorites. So
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, I had never heard of this film, so
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what it's about and dissect it.
there's a lot going on.
Cool. Well, I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But that'll be next week. Yeah, thanks again, dude.
Thank you again for having me.
We'll be back soon. See y'all next week.
We'll be back in church.
Yes. Doing praising film the proper way.
That's right.
All right. Till next time. Amen.
Amen.